in running in his brother's place. He would place second, losing to John Tory.
I will go to sleep tonight knowing that I gave it absolutely everything. Thank you.
Ford threw his support behind Christine Elliott during the Ontario PC party leadership in 2015. The two would later face off in the 2018 Ontario PC party leadership, with Ford coming out on top.
And to Kathleen Wynne, I say your days as Premier are numbered.
The party leader hit the campaign trail this year, promising tax cuts, job creation, and lowering hydro bills.
I'm here to work for the people. A united team ready to take back our province. Ready for change. We will win this election.
His campaign saw several controversies, including a lawsuit from Rob Ford's widow, Renata Ford.
We're shocked.
Ford denied the allegations against him that he mismanaged the family business and funds intended for his niece and nephew.
Those claims are false and without merit, and I can tell you this is going to be proven in court.
Morning, Mr. Ford. How are you feeling this morning?
Feeling really great. Beautiful day to change Ontario.
Ford's win ends 15 years of Liberal reign at Queen's Park.
So he's going to be Premier, but that is only the first part of his challenge. Next, it's how is he going to balance the books and tackle the deficit? Murtaza, you've been talking about that.
I think the biggest challenge the morning after for Doug Ford, he's going to wake up with $325 billion of debt. The single largest concern, the most important file, and I think the next 5 years will be about it.
All right, we're going to end it on that note, but we'll continue this discussion.
So while blue is the winning color of tonight's election, the Washington Capitals are hoping it'll be red tonight in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup. And it's been a hectic game so far, let me tell you. 22 seconds after Vegas tied the game at 1, Washington power play. Backstrom threads a feed through to Alex Ovechkin. Quick trigger beats Fleury. And look how fired up he is. High step in to celebrate as the Capitals retake the lead 2-1. But still in the second, all kinds of traffic in front of Braden Holtby. The shot gets tipped, and this is not it. This is an older goal, but I will tell you that they tied it up, and in fact, Vegas has taken the lead. They are up 3-2 with about a minute to go in the first. I'll have more on that, plus the Jays having quite a rally. That's coming up a little later.
Well, we want to take a look at Kathleen Wynne's writing right here of Don Valley West, because this is becoming a very interesting story right now. So Kathleen Wynne is fighting to hold on to her riding. We have just over 28,000 votes cast here, 34 of 53 polls reporting. If I go into the poll-by-poll ridings here, this is a look at the riding, and you can see the north part of the riding has gone Tory, but it's the south part of the riding that is maintaining its Liberal votes. So what we're talking about here is essentially, and I can break it down by the street, it's all around Lawrence. So Lawrence and south of Lawrence is where Kathleen Wynne is holding on to her support, but it's north and just south between Lawrence and the 401 where the PCs are dominating here. So it is still a fight in that riding. But right now, we do have a PC majority government we are declaring, and our coverage will continue right now on City TV. So we hope you stay tuned and join us on Channel 7.
And this isn't a Doug Ford victory, this is everyone's victory.
Ontario turns Tory blue.
People show up and turn out for the Ford brothers.
The Doug Ford machine steamrolls the province.
Eventually the voters decide they want change.
Leading the PCs to power for the first time in 15 years.
Ontario is going to be very different than it has been for the last 15 years.
And announcing a new era for Ontario.
Good evening, and we welcome City TV viewers to the election coverage we've had for the past hour at citynews.ca. It is a stunning night in Ontario politics. Voters have catapulted Doug Ford and his progressive Conservatives to a majority government. The New Democrats will form the official opposition. Ford spoke just minutes ago before leaving for his victory party.
I want to thank our team and everyone out there, but I'll be speaking very shortly.
Premier-elect, what do you plan to do first in your first business?
Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a press conference tomorrow.
Tell us the moment inside your home when you won. What was that moment like?
Oh, it was great. I'm just very grateful to the people of Ontario. Very grateful.
Did you think?
Well, get used to saying this. Premier Doug Ford. A PC majority. Ontario said they wanted change, and tonight they proved it. John Wright, this is a stunning victory for Doug Ford and a shocking defeat. Well, not so shocking, but an abysmal defeat for the Liberals.
Oh, it is a shocking defeat for the Liberals. I mean, when you can just be hanging on by official party status at this stage in the evening, with the Premier only, a handful of votes away from being eliminated, this is a catastrophe for the current age. The building starts around a whole group of young people who are being elected tonight, and some of them seeing power for the very first time in their own parties. So I suspect that that's going to be a really preoccupation, of course, now going forward. But what'll be interesting is, where are the Tories going to select their cabinet from? They've got a big job over the next month or so in finding of the 71 or 73 seats. Who can fill those positions? Parliamentary secretaries. How do you keep everybody busy? And that'll be the next big thing.
So I neglected to introduce my panel. I have a wonderful panel of political analysts here. John Wright is a veteran pollster. Murtaza Haider, prof with Ryerson, who is also a transit expert, and Catherine Marshall. You are a PC advocate and a lawyer, an equity lawyer. So let me turn to you, the PC advocate and biggest fan in the room here of maybe Doug Ford and the PC party. What do you make of this stunning victory, and what do you think Doug Ford's biggest challenge is going to be now?
Well, I mean, it's a huge victory. I mean, it's amazing what he was able to do in such short notice, and to be running two campaigns back-to-back, the leadership and then the general election. I think moving forward, his next task is to transition plan and pick his cabinet. And luckily, Doug Ford does have a really strong bench. I'm looking at people like Christine Elliott, Carolyn Mulrooney, Monty McNaughton. He's got a lot of young, energetic, experienced people that were elected.
Which helped him win. I think it really turned around his fortunes when he introduced those 13 potential cabinet ministers and then turned to Andrea Horwath and said, and you have a party of radicals. I think that was very effective with the voters.
I completely agree. I think it really showed that he was ready to lead and form government, and to highlight the fact that Andrea just didn't have that bench strength behind her, and that's a huge weakness for the NDP, and it always is.
Doug Ford is often called a divisive leader, and I think a lot of people are afraid of him. Is he going to be able to bring Ontario together, and should Ontario be afraid of Doug Ford?
I don't think anyone should be afraid. I mean, I think he's going to do great things, and he clearly has a message that resonates with people, and I think we can all look forward to see what's next. And clearly, I think, broadly speaking, Ontarians agree. They elected a huge majority for Doug Ford, so I look forward to seeing what he's got.
Murtaza Haider, what do you think Doug Ford will do for Toronto Transit after looking at his plan? You and I have discussed the Scarborough subway extension many times. He has said that he wants to add the 2 more stops and turn it back into the 3-way stop.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity to make a meaningful difference. I think what he needs to do is to ensure that the relief line is a priority, and that takes priority over every other project on public transit. And then I think the one-stop subway makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I think even adding a stop in the middle would make sense. But I think the 7-stop LRT offers the best value for money. And if they have to build a subway, then put a proper subway with proper stops so that people do not lose coverage. People who have 7 stops should have meaningful access to higher order transit. But the real priority to keep Toronto booming and to make sure that the economy moves is to provide redundancy in the core. That requires the relief line.
Did you like Doug Ford's transit plan?
I don't think they released one. They made some announcements, but there wasn't any plan. He mentioned that he would like to spend $5 billion in excess of the existing commitments on transit in Toronto. But I think all of this would would be a big challenge because he would like to not run deficits of that magnitude as has been run in the past. So there's not much money around to spend. So my fear is, or concern is, that in the next few years, especially for the first 2 years, there will not be enough money to spend. And if there is any spending on transit, it will be later.
Murtaza Haider, thank you very much. Thank you, panel. We'll be back with more conversation shortly.
I'm Janelle Massa at the Hamilton Convention Center. This is NDP Central tonight as supporters of Andrea Horwath watch those results come in. Now, it's been mixed emotions here. There were lots of boos when the reports came up on the big screen calling for a PC majority, Doug Ford as Ontario's next premier. But there's still a good news story here for the NDP, who have picked up a lot of seats. Now, I'm here with a supporter, Kyle, who's joining me from Niagara Centre, was it?
Niagara Centre.
How did you feel when you saw that big screen say that Doug Ford is the next premier?
Terrified. Absolutely terrified. Doug Ford represents to me the biggest cuts I think this province is ever going to see to our public education, to our infrastructure, and to our hospitals. I'm from Niagara Centre, from Welland, and I'm afraid that he's going to close our local hospital.
You think Ontario got it wrong?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You were campaigning for someone in your neighborhood. Have they been elected tonight, and how are you feeling about the NDP overall?
Jeff Birch got elected. I am so proud of his campaign. He ran a wonderful campaign with the previous MPP, Cindy Forrester. Malcolm Allen also hit the trail with him. It was a great success. Also next to it, Wayne Gates also got elected. As for the NDP as a whole, I think the legacy of the past is no longer as existent. This is a brand new party. It's showing that it's got new style. I'm looking forward to the future of this party.
Are you hopeful that they're going to be able to hold the Progressive Conservatives to account? Obviously, you have very different ideologies, but we've seen them nearly double their seats, the NDP here. Are you hopeful for the future of the province?
Well, given the history of this election campaign, where one party would only answer 2 or 3 questions, where another candidate would sit there for a half an hour and answer 20 or 30 questions, I am more than confident the NDP will do everything it can to hold the PCs to account.
So you're going to be celebrating tonight?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much, Kyle. And we are waiting for Andrea Horwath to arrive. She should be arriving sometime a little bit later this evening, and we'll give some remarks. She, of course, has won her seat here in Hamilton. I'm going to send it over to Pam Seidel, who's also here at the Hamilton Convention Center with her panel for some analysis.
Thank you very much, Janella. Yes, and I'd like to reintroduce the panel. We have been joined by 3 people who've been very kind enough to come all the way down the QEW to join me here for some analysis tonight. Rosario Marchese, a former MPP, a longtime NDP from 1990 to 2014. That's right. A downtown NDP MPP. That's right. Morgan Biskin, you famously ran for mayor 4 years ago.
Yes, yeah.
You were only 18 years old. Now, at the age of 22, what are you up to?
I'm just a year away from finishing my bachelor's degree, which feels important, looking at urban planning and psychology and how they're connected.
Oh, great. And Chris Moyes, a TDSB trustee for the last couple of years, but now also running for city councillor for Toronto City Council.
That's right. I'm currently the Toronto School Board trustee for Toronto Centre Rosedale. And I'll be running for new Ward 25 for City Council, which includes the Gay Village, Yorkville, and the Bay Street Corridor. So I'm very excited for this venture.
Very exciting times ahead.
Very exciting time.
For Ontario and for the city. You made a very interesting point, Rosario, about the Liberals. Now, the numbers are kind of going back and forth. Sometimes it says 9 seats that they're leading in. But with 8 seats, that is just enough to give them party status.
That's right.
So what happens then to Kathleen Wynne? She can't stay on.
Well, she can, because if she doesn't stay on and they're reduced to 7, they lose party status. So she's going to have to make a terrible decision about, do I stay so they can have party status, and hope for a by-election that they might win so she could retire and leave as best as she can. And so that's the dilemma that she will face.
Well, and it's a pretty tough decision after making that announcement.
And it's
essentially, resigning.
But the tough decision is, if she resigns and you lose status, it means you don't have a party. you can't ask questions, you don't have money to resource your caucus. It means you are in a wasteland for 4 long years. So she's got a difficult decision to make, assuming they hold on to 8 seats, and assuming one of them is, I think she won her own. We don't know yet whether they won all their seats.
This is a big night for the NDP, regardless of the fact that there's a certain amount of disappointment that there were not more seats won. And once again, these are numbers that are still fluctuating, so we'll see. But you know, they've doubled their numbers quite probably from when you know, Parliament was dissolved.
That's right.
So it's a big victorious night for her.
It's a victorious night. We worked very hard, and but like I said to you earlier, that you can see downtown Toronto is all orange and some reds, you know, sprinkled in between. And the 905 and beyond is all, you know, a sea of blue. So it's very telling, you know, the how the province is now divided, right? So Toronto is its own little bubble, right? So that is very telling, I find.
But it is a huge victory for the NDP. The members are proud of the platform, proud of the leader. We've done incredibly well. 41 seats is a huge number of seats. There's nothing but pride for the campaign and the leader.
It has been a brilliantly fought campaign.
Yes.
There's no question about it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll be back shortly. Right now we're going to check in with Amanda.
I am live from Liberal Party headquarters, where a lot of people thought that this space would resemble something of a funeral, the death of the party tonight. But I can tell you that's really not the case, because there are a number of reasons to celebrate, believe it or not, for the Liberals tonight. Number one, Kathleen Wynne has retained her seat in Don Valley West, and every time that the numbers for that riding come up on the screen with Kathleen Wynne's face, well, this entire crowd erupts. Number two, as I told you earlier in the night, that the magic number for the Liberals to retain official party status is 8. And right now, they are leading or elected in 9. So just barely, they are holding on to official party status. I'm being told that leader Kathleen Wynne will take the podium in roughly 10 to 15 minutes, and we will be looking for some indication from her of how she will lead the significantly reduced party, or party at all. Well, now let's go to my colleague, Christina Halloran. I am on the floor, but she's outside. And Christina, is the grass really greener out there?
I don't know if it's greener out here, Amanda, but it is certainly colder out here. So we are shivering a little bit. I've had a blanket on me most of the night. But what we can say is that we know that Wynne is leading, but with only 8 seats that the Liberals are leading in or elected in, it means that she's going to have to stay on if they want to maintain their party status.
Absolutely. If we stay on 8 seats, if the Liberals take 8 seats tonight, and we know that Kathleen Wynne has won her seat, 8 seats is the magic number to retain official party status. So even if they get a couple of more seats or a few less seats, she can't resign tonight. So 8 seats, if she goes, that means they've lost official party status. So if we stay on 8, she has to stay on.
So, but what does that mean for the party? Should the party as a whole, should they be looking to Wynne to step down?
Well, I think what would have to happen in that scenario, if we have 8 seats and we need to hold those 8 seats, we would immediately, I would suspect, be thrown into a leadership contest. Hopefully she would stay on as an MPP in that scenario, so that we would retain the party status that we need, which provides financing and allows the researchers and the assistants to be hired to help the party as they work in third-party status in the House. So, but it will be very interesting. If we stay on 8 seats, she has to stay on 2.
And from your perspective, Smokey, is that a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to the public service?
Wynne staying on? Well, I think it's a good thing. I've known her for a long time. I like talking to her. She did get a little full of herself the last few years, but I agree with you, though. I don't belong to a party, but I don't see how she could quit tonight. You would lose party status, and so it'd be interesting to see how she conducts herself in the House, sitting on the other side of the House too. So just from that perspective, but she's a good debater. She's a good everything, right? Except, well, I never did wasn't a fan as premier, but so I'm with you, and I don't belong to the party, but I don't see how she could quit tonight.
No, Queenie Wynne is a mother. She's a grandmother. But I know that you guys don't necessarily see eye to eye when it comes to family policies. If she stays on, what type of impact do you think that'll have on the course of the legislature?
Well, I don't think she can have much of an impact, and I want her to understand the message that voters have sent to her tonight, that people hate her anti-family policies. And any politician who will support those policies will have a similar fate, just like Patrick Brown.
But in this case, she actually, it looks like she is going to win her seat. So is that really what the voters have said?
No, the voters hasn't said that. And let's be clear, you know, we're using very comfortable language and when we start talking about family policies. So I'm also a mother and a grandmother, and I'm a liberal, I'm a progressive. So I quite like her family policies. I don't think this is a repudiation of everything that Kathleen Wynne has done as premier or as when she was a minister in the legislature. I think this is a culmination of things. You know, Smokey can talk a lot about what's happened with hydro. I think people are having trouble with affordability. I think people are tired potentially of the Liberals. Change is good for democracy. It doesn't matter what party you belong to. But I don't think that we should just look at this in terms of the sex ed curriculum brought down the Liberal Party of Ontario, because that's not what's happened here.
Do you think then that perhaps she should have stepped down, or when should she have stepped down? And just very quickly, I'll ask you all very quickly, when should Wynne have stepped down?
She should have stepped down last year. The polls numbers were showing it, and if she had done it and got us a new leader, we might have had a different outcome tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, and we'll be back later in the show with more detailed analysis.
680 political specialist John Stahl joins me. And John, Kathleen Wynne, as we reported, won her riding. Is this a blessing, or is this not?
Well, actually, I think she has a real dilemma on her hands now, too. I mean, this is a terrible decision that she might have to make. If anyone was considering resigning tonight, as she probably was as leader of the party, under normal circumstances, a loss this bad would lead to that. But if this party does not reach the status for legal party status, and we're still a couple of votes away, how can she take herself out of the mix if it means that her party loses that status?
Right, and here's Don Valley West now, where she won. She did win by quite a healthy vote here of a couple thousand votes. Let's go to the next one, which is Scarborough-Guildwood, if we can, because this is Mitzi Hunter's riding, and she is not pulled out a win yet, but is just edging a slight lead.
But we don't know if the Liberals are going to end up with 6 or 8 seats.
Right.
If they get the 8, and Kathleen Wynne has to make the decision of retiring means that her party loses that status. That's an awful political decision.
And in Scarborough North, Raymond Cho, the PC, he won that side. Let's go to Spadina York. Spadina Fort York here. NDP, the incumbent, beating Handong, the incumbent there by a very healthy. So this is showing that there is anger even downtown towards the Liberals.
Oh, I think what the story of this election is the extent to which and the degree of anger against the Liberal Party with
won this riding, almost doubling the vote of the Liberal candidate.
Yeah, and that's where all their strength was. So you can see clearly what the reaction of the voters are. It's quite a story tonight on all sides.
And it's thank you. It's also historic because the Green Party has won their first seat in Guelph. So Jennifer Hollett from Twitter Canada joins me. This is Mike Schreiner, and if we show just poll by poll here, you can see how much support he actually had in Guelph. Almost every poll elected the Green Party here. We also want to talk about on Twitter, Green Party was celebrating.
This is a very big win for the Green Party. We just made history, the Green Wave. And it is a Green Wave within Guelph, because we just saw that in the poll by poll.
And this was the celebration, I guess, when they realized that they won?
Yeah, and just, you know, it's a really big win. And we're seeing on Twitter, even people who have voted for the other parties saying that this is actually a win for Ontario, for this party and the leader to have a breakthrough.
We know the students voted as well, right? But their results are very different than what the actual result of the election was. What did we see here?
There was a big conversation online on Twitter throughout the day about the youth turning up to vote. So this is the official student vote, a little bit younger than youth who can actually vote, 18 2018 over. But these are the votes that took place in schools. NDP came out on top at 32%, but followed closely behind by Ontario PCs.
By the PCs. Does that surprise you with the student vote? Because usually we know that students align themselves with the left and the NDP.
Yeah, I think it does point to the strength of the PCs in this election, but also young people are influenced by their neighbors, by their parents, and the communities they live in.
Right. And the Liberals didn't do so well with the students.
That has been the collapse of this evening. And I think right now what we're seeing on Twitter is a larger conversation on what happened. Let's make sense of what we're seeing play out tonight in Ontario.
Are you surprised? Because, I mean, it was the Liberals that decided to give free tuition to universities, covering prescription medication. And actually, let's go to Kathleen Wynne right now, who is speaking at the Liberal Party headquarters.
Wow, I'll tell you. Hazel, thank you. Wow. That's an incredible welcome, I thank you. And right in front of me, Hazel, thank you. Thank you, Hazel McCallion, Mayor Hazel. Hey, Tony. Thank you so much, my friends. What a response. This is incredible. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will never forget the trust you put in me. My friends, this victory belongs to you. This victory belongs to the people, and tonight the people of Ontario have spoken. People from every walk of life, from every corner of this great province, people from every political stripe, you have come together around one common vision of Ontario. You have sent a clear message, a message of hope and prosperity. A vision for the people of this province, a vision of a government that works for the people. My friends, a government that respects you, a government with integrity, a government that will always put you first. My friends, help is here. Our team will work every single day to deliver this vision. We will work every single day for a better Ontario, a better future, and a brighter future for our children. An era of economic growth and prosperity, the likes of which this province has never seen before. Prosperity that will benefit every resident of Ontario. And tonight, we have sent a clear message to the world. Ontario is open for business. My friends, I am so proud of the incredible team that you have sent to Queen's Park, a team of all-stars that will work for you. A team that will always put you first, and we are grateful to all of those who put their names forward, all of those who run under the PC banner, thank you for your hard work and sacrifice. When we began this journey, I made a commitment to you. I made a commitment to Ontario. I promised to work hard. I promised to run an honest and positive campaign, to focus on the policies that matter to you. I promised to deliver a strong, stable majority government, and together we did that. Together we made history. We have taken back Ontario. We have delivered a government that is for the people. A government that will respect your hard-earned tax dollars. And my friends, the party with the taxpayers' money is over. It's done. But the work has just begun. Our team will get to work immediately. We will deliver on our plan for the people. We will bring accountability, transparency, and integrity to the taxpayers of Ontario. We will reduce your taxes, reduce your gas prices, and keep more money in your pocket. A plan to fix our economy and create good-paying jobs. A plan to invest in the priorities that matter to you. And my friends, together with our skilled team of MPPs, this is what we will deliver. My friends, I want to thank my family for all of your support and love and support. To my wife Carla, my mom Diane, and my 4 girls, you've been my rock. I couldn't have done this without you. And I can tell you, and I know that my brother Rob is looking down from heaven. Just getting chills talking about him right now. I know Rob, he is celebrating with us tonight. We owe so much to Rob's legacy. A legacy of service to the people. A legacy started by my father, Doug Ford Sr., and a legacy that will continue. I want to thank my incredible campaign team, the best political team ever assembled, ever. I can tell you, a skilled and dedicated team who worked hard and stuck together. And I want to thank the thousands and thousands of volunteers from all across Ontario. You left nothing, absolutely, you left everything on the field. My friends, but most of all, I want to thank each of you. I thank you. I want to thank the people of Ontario. I owe everything to you. Your support, your energy, your belief in our cause. You are the ones who kept me going, who energized me at every single stop, and reminded me what's at stake, what we are fighting for, You reminded me to stay humbled and stay focused. You are the reason we are here today. And those who didn't support us, I want you to know that I will work even harder to earn your confidence. I also need to acknowledge my opponents in this race, to Kathleen Wynne and Andrea Horwath. No, guys. No. You fought a hard, very hard campaign, and I'll tell you, Ontario is better for it. We have had our different approaches, but we all share in the same goal of a better Ontario. And I want to work together to deliver on our mandate, a mandate for the people. My friend, a new day has dawned in Ontario, a day of opportunity, a day of prosperity, and a day of growth. We're going to turn this province around so our children and their children will always be proud to call Ontario home. We will make sure Ontario is the greatest place on earth to live, to do business, and to raise a family. And we will make Ontario once again the engine of Canada. My friends, together in 88 short days, we achieved the impossible. We united our party and united our province, and this is your victory. Tonight is your night. I thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Votre diversité en pleine expansion et votre force sont la force de l'Ontario. How did that go, Ronan? Some of our families have been in Ontario for 6 generations, some for 6 years, and some for 6 months. But apart from First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people, we all came from somewhere else to build a different kind of society, one where everyone would have a fair shot at a great life, education, health care, a good job, a life without fear of bigotry or discrimination. And we've got some of that right, but we're not there yet. So let me leave you with this. Whoever you are, in whatever corner of Ontario you have made home, you are part of a beautiful, vibrant place. Election campaigns make us feel that we're divided, that somehow we're not in this together. But believe me, we are. We are dependent on one another. From Fort Severn across to Moosonee, through Kenora, Thunder Bay, Wawa, Red Lake, Cochrane, Timmins, Renfrew, Cornwall, Ottawa, Kingston, the GTA, Barrie, Bracebridge, Kitchener-Waterloo, Niagara, London, Chatham, Windsor, and all the places in between. just for all the speechwriters in the room, I know that list was too long, but it's my speech, and damn it, I was going to say all those places. Just be lucky I didn't name all 444 towns and cities and villages, because each one is unique, but it's also striving for the same things: a great future for our community, opportunity for our kids, care for our parents, a decent living. That's why we raised the minimum wage. That's why we fought for and won a better Canada pension plan across the country. That's why we're building roads and transit and water systems and schools and hospitals everywhere in this province. That's why your child can get his or her tuition covered if it's hard for you to pay. And that's why your baby's prescription is free, because we're investing in his or her healthy start. Yeah. And that's why your kids can go to full-day kindergarten. And it's why, if you're in an abusive relationship, there are more supports in place for you. That's right. That's why there's more care for your mom and dad who need it in their homes. Government exists to do the things that we can't do ourselves. And that job is never done. That's right. Il y a toujours plus à faire pour rendre vos vies plus faciles, vous donner des opportunités, du succès et un avenir encore plus brillant. It all starts in the community. And I am so proud of all the Liberal MPPs who have been elected tonight. I'm absolutely certain that you will stand up for your communities, and you will fight to make sure every worker and every family in Ontario gets the care and opportunity that they deserve. I am resigning as the leader of the Ontario Liberal Party. I know. We're not.
much. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. I love you too. I love you too.
Most in her own writing.
My friends, from the very start of this campaign, people wanted change. And I could not be more proud that we offered a positive vision. Change for the better! New Democrats rejected the politics of fear and cynicism. We rejected that. And we put hope and vision for a better future at the heart of our campaign. And Ontarians have responded like never before. Today, millions of people voted for change for the better. We have won more seats than we have held in a generation. Deeply humbled that Ontarians have asked us to serve as the new official opposition. New voices, new ideas, and a strong team of new Democrats working for you, the people of Ontario. You know, I've spoken with Premier-designate Ford, and I did congratulate him on his achievement. And I told the Premier-designate that New Democrats will work each and every day for the change that families need to make life better for all of us, for all of us. We will be positive and constructive in our approach, but the vast majority of Ontarians did not vote for cuts to health care, cuts to our schools, and cuts to the services that families are counting on. People did not vote for that. And we will be the voice at Queen's Park for all of those Ontarians. New Democrats will always stand with families, seniors, working people, and young people to protect what matters to most of the people of Ontario. Vous pouvez compter sur nous. To the candidates, campaign teams, and volunteers from every party, thank you. Thank you all for caring so deeply about the future of our province of Ontario. Thank you all so much. To the people of Hamilton, it is the privilege of my life to represent this great city. And I am deeply humbled that you have placed your faith in me yet again. I appreciate it very, very much. my family who are all here cheering us on tonight, to my family, especially my son Julian, you mean the world to me. And kisses. And to my incredible campaign team, thank you for one of the best campaigns we have ever had in our province as New Democrats. To our volunteers, you people in this room, to our volunteers and supporters, to our partners in the labor movement, to our MPPs, and all of our candidates, whether you won or lost tonight, and to our federal leader, Jagmeet Singh, whose tireless work helped us to elect candidates across Ontario. Thank you. Thank you for working so hard to give people hope for a better future in our province. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Merci beaucoup. I am so proud of every candidate who put their name forward, and I am so proud of every New Democrat who has been elected tonight. Our new MPPs come from every corner of Ontario. They have incredible experience, and they will work for you and your family each and every day. You know, over the course of this campaign, I've met so many people who want change for the better in their lives. You know, I think of a couple of sisters. I think of a couple of sisters that I met, and those sisters are farming sisters. They farm together in Lambton County, and they have never voted for the NDP before. But they believe in dental coverage for everyone, and they joined us this time. I think of a young woman I met in Toronto's West End. She heard of our plans to make housing and childcare more affordable, and she joined us in this election. I think of a senior citizen that I met in Bowmanville in the Durham region who wanted change. And he saw our plan to give people more opportunities, and he joined us. I think of a senior citizen right here in Hamilton who has never volunteered with us before. She heard our plans to ask the richest people to pay a little bit more to make life better for everyone, and she joined us to make that happen. And you know, I think of the incredible people that I met in Kenora and Grassy Narrows. People who literally have to struggle just to access health care, and who have waited literally decades for action to clean up the mercury in the water. I invited them to join us to make change for the better happen together, and I want to thank everyone in Northern Ontario who has placed their trust in us. And I know that these are the people we fight for. people who work hard and believe in a better future for everyone. And they are exactly why the NDP cannot stop here. We will keep fighting for you. We will keep fighting for you. Change for the better, my friends, is more than a slogan. And my friends, we will not rest. We will not stop fighting until we have it, until we have change for the better. We will keep. We will keep fighting for better public health care. We will keep fighting to make your life more affordable. We will keep fighting to give our children a better start and to help young people succeed. My friends, we should be immensely proud of the campaign that we've run. We should be immensely proud. And well, the results did not get us there this time. I invite you to join us, and together we'll keep fighting to bring change for the better to Ontario. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so very much. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Miigwech. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Doug Ford called it the dawn of a new age. Tonight I'm on the floor at PC Doug Ford headquarters. I'm flanked tonight by two political heavyweights here on the floor. We've got Hazel McCallion to my right. We have Tony Clement here to my left. Tony, we'll start with you. Lots of talk throughout this campaign that the PC party was fractured. Can you honestly say tonight that they are united?
Yes, I think nothing like victory that unites a party. And look, the party was fractured. There's no question when you go through a deposing of a leader and having a leadership contest, everybody's going to be on different sides. But Doug Ford, the way he comported himself in the last 3 months, the way he built a real team, the way he focused on a real message that resonated with voters, I think that all of that is in the past now, and it's Premier Doug Ford for the next 4 years.
You know, you heard him speak tonight, emotional, impassionate speech. When it comes to the city of Toronto, though, a lot of people voted orange. Can he work with the mayor? Can he work with the city, in your opinion?
Well, look, he said Ontario is open for business, which means Toronto is going to be open for business. And everybody knows that you can't have Ontario success without having Toronto successful. So Doug Ford knows that. He was a former city councillor. After all, his brother was mayor. And he's going to find the way to work with City Council, work with the mayor, do the right thing for Toronto, which is the right thing for Ontario, and may I say, as a federal MP, the right thing for Canada as well.
Thank you very much, Tony.
For sure.
We're going to grab Hazel McCallion's attention here. She's just wrapping up right now. Hazel, you're live on City.
Yeah.
You told me earlier that you've never historically supported any party. You support the right party for Ontario. Why do you believe Doug Ford is the right man to lead this province?
I felt that assessing the programs of the NDP and the Liberals, that we needed some sound financial management at Queen's Park to get things running more smoothly, to cut out delays of decision-making, and to bring about open Ontario for business. We have some tough times, some challenges, and I believe that Doug's his success as a business person will certainly bring the fiscal management that is needed at Queen's Park. Not cut services, improve them, even add to them.
So we're still waiting for some of those numbers to see where the cuts are going to come from and how he's going to balance the books.
I don't think Doug will cut. He'll cut lack of efficiency. He'll cut mismanagement, yes.
Quickly, one quick question before we go. You've worked with lots of premiers as mayor of Mississauga. Can Mayor John Tory work with him, and what does Mayor John Tory need to do to work with this new premier?
I think the mayors of the Greater Toronto Area, who I know very well, including John Tory, will work with Doug Ford because the municipalities need help. Doug was a councillor in the City of Toronto. He knows what the needs of the municipalities are, and I believe he will respond to them.
Thank you very much for your time. You heard it right here. Hazel McCallion on the floor. We'll be back in a little bit.
Yes, with tears in her eye, Kathleen Wynne announced that she has resigned as leader of the Ontario Liberals, saying it was a very difficult decision for her, but felt it was the right one for the future of the party. But the big question now is, will it remain an official party? The magic number is 8 seats, and right now they are leading or elected in only 7. So without official party status, it'll be a very tough go for the party to rebuild. And now everyone's asking, who will lead the party? There were a few big upsets for the Liberals. Yasser Naqvi, Ontario Attorney General, lost his seat, along with former Transportation Minister Stephen Del Duca. Michael Couteau did hold on, so perhaps he may be the one who leads this party into the next few years and through their rebuilding years. So, as you can see from all around me, the room has cleared out quite dramatically ever since Kathleen exited from the stage, and now a lot of questions remain. Who will lead this party and whether it will be an official party at all?
The other big celebration could come any minute from the Washington Capitals, who are 1 win away from their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. But a night never backs down. At least that was the message ahead of Game 5, and it's certainly been very entertaining with things tied at 2s under a minute to go in the second. Vegas power play. Braden Holtby way out of position, and Riley Smith takes advantage, pots the goal. And things get a little messy. Big old scrum behind the net, but either way, Vegas leads 3-2 after 40 minutes. Don't count the Caps out just yet in the third off a turnover. Feed from the blue line to Devontae Smith-Pelly, who goes full belly flop, tucks it past Marc-Andre Fleury, and we're tied at 3s with 10 to go, and that clearly got him energized because not long after, Brett Connolly's shot takes a deflection. Fleury can't squeeze the pads, and Lars Eller jumps on the loose puck. Easy put away to give Washington the lead, and that's where it stands with, I don't know, just under 3 minutes to go, so we could be celebrating a Washington Capitals Stanley Cup. Also, the Jays in action put on a 9th inning rally against Baltimore, coming back from a 4-1 deficit to force extras, and Almeida Diaz, the hero, walking it off in the bottom of the 10th to take it 5-4.
A Stanley Cup game and an election. What a wonderful night in this city. What a wonderful night in Ontario. Want to show you what's happened here, this blue tidal wave. This is a map representing where the votes are. This is Mississauga here. It is all blue. A couple orange seats into Brampton, but all around the Golden Horseshoe, this is this blue tidal wave. This is the 416 in Toronto right here. You can see the majority of the 416 has gone orange. Want to show you a couple interesting seats. We had to unelect, actually, a Liberal at this point. Mike Cole, who was projected to win Eglinton Lawrence. Now, again, it's a neck-and-neck race where the PC candidate and himself are really battling for seats here. Even poll by poll, you can see it's very evenly split right now. And there are still more battles happening in Scarborough-Guildwood. This is Mitzi Hunter's riding. She, too, battling. Just a difference of about 60 votes at this point. And we're still awaiting results in York Simcoe. That poll will close in about a half hour or so. So we are continuing to watch the results come in. And we want you to tune in right now to City News Tonight. It starts now. Meet your new premier.
Thank you so much, my friends. What a response. This is incredible.
The Ford machine steamrolls the province.
People show up and turn out for the Ford brothers,
leaving the Liberals devastated.
I have spoken to the party president and asked him to start the process of choosing an interim leader.
Turning the NDP into the official opposition.
Chair!
change for the better.
And leaving the country wondering what's next.
This should be giving Trudeau a pause tonight.
He's been on the job as PC leader for less than 3 months. Tonight, he is the Premier-elect of Ontario. Doug Ford arriving at his victory party moments ago. Ford's Progressive Conservatives sweeping to power tonight, grabbing a majority at Queen's Park. The NDP will form the official opposition, with the Liberals finishing a distant third.
Ontario, you have just elected Doug Ford as your premier. The beaming Ford took to the stage behind me just a few minutes ago, at times emotional, talking about his late brother, Rob Ford, and thanking his family and promising to support those, even those who didn't vote for him. Here's what he had to say.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will never forget the trust you put in me. My friends, this victory belongs to you. This victory belongs to the people. And tonight, the people of Ontario have spoken. People from every walk of life, from every corner of this great province, people from every political stripe, you have come together around one common vision of Ontario. You have sent a clear message, a message of hope and prosperity. A vision for the people of this province, a vision of a government that works for the people. My friends, a government that respects you, a government with integrity, a government that will always put you first. My friends, help is here. Our team will work every single day to deliver this vision. We will work every single day for a better Ontario, a better future, and a brighter future for our children. An era of economic growth and prosperity, the likes of which this province has never seen before. Prosperity that will benefit every resident of Ontario. And tonight, we have sent a clear message to the world. Ontario is open for business.
As you could hear, supporters were ecstatic. Adrian Gabriel has been in the midst of the crowd talking to them this evening. Adrian.
That's right, Cindy. Party has spilled out from the main room. We're now in the lobby. It's still packed in here in the lobby. You can see behind me, they rolled the Doug Ford bus into the lobby today. The pop, I'm happy to report for everyone, was free, though they were selling $10 beers. Some people were wondering why there weren't $1 beers. Perhaps now that it is Premier Doug Ford, Premier-elect, that the beers might be a little bit cheaper around here. But obviously an exciting night. We've spoken to lots of different people, lots of political heavyweights in the building, lots of people from the city who are absolutely ecstatic here tonight. Earlier, I spoke with Giorgio Mammoliti. He said the city has to be united behind Doug Ford. He believes the mayor can work with him. We were also speaking with Michael Ford earlier, Councillor Michael Ford. He says for the family, this is unbelievable. We heard tonight on the stage Doug Ford talk about his brother Rob, that Rob really got this started, that Rob always said to him, you'll be Premier of Ontario. An exciting night here for everyone involved. And, you know, it's been quite a historic evening. Lots of people. We had Hazel McCallion on earlier, as you just saw. She says Doug Ford's the guy to get the province back on track. Time will tell. Sin, will throw it back to you in the panel.
Adrian, thank you. Well, we knew the political landscape was going to be vastly different tomorrow, but what I'm really struck by is the fact that there seems to be no middle ground politically anymore. It is right and it is left, and there's nothing left in between. John Wright.
Yeah, and that's going to be a real concern for both the government under Ford and also everyone in the province, because when you don't have that space on an axle, so to speak, it heats up and there's confrontation. And we've seen that before. We've seen it with, Mike Harris and some of the reforms that he brought in. The fact of the matter is that you now have just two sword lengths apart, two ideologically very different groups with no Liberals and one Green Party member off to the side. And what this means is confrontation. It's going to mean that almost every step of the way, Andrea Horwath and her people are going to fight this government to ensure that they are not only the official opposition, but they sideswipe anything that the Liberal Party does to try and grow. So we're into, even with Mike Harris, I mean, there was a little bit of space, especially in the second term. But right now, it's right against each other. And I think 3 months from now, 4 months from now, we're going to have the government getting ready to open the legislature. But it's going to be a very, very forceful group of people in that legislature.
And Doug Ford is going to have to make a lot of cuts, and he is going to have to target a lot of the programs that the Liberals and the NDP hold dear. He's going to have to, I would imagine. Catherine.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a huge job ahead of him. He is obviously inheriting a massive deficit. And, listening to his speech tonight, he said the things that I think Ontarians were really craving to hear, which is a leader standing up there saying, I'm going to rein in spending, I'm going to reduce the deficit, I'm going to make life more affordable. And I mean, people have wanted to hear that, and that's really, I think, one of the reasons why he won tonight. So he does have a huge job, and I guess we'll see how he's going to implement that.
Murtaza.
I think there's one other trend that I could see. If you notice that university towns, wherever you can find a university, they have not voted PC. So if you look at Kingston, Toronto, Ottawa, even in Guelph, where a Green Party candidate, Hamilton, and St. Catharines. So what you see is a sort of a urban core going with the NDP, and university towns going with NDP, and the suburban 905 and then north going to PC. I think these spatial trends would mean a lot in terms of what kind of debates will happen at Queen's Park and what kind of agendas will be there. So you could see already that the focus will be very different, and I could see that it could either be very difficult or could be very smooth, depending upon how eager they are to run a smooth government.
Okay, I have to wrap it on that note, but when we come back, there's something interesting I want to talk about with what the campaign co-chair, Dean French, had to say during his speech and what this means going forward.
Political specialist from 680, John Stahl, joins me. John, let's look at the map here and the tidal wave of blue. We heard from Murtaza there that he was saying that university towns, the urban centre of Toronto, maintained orange. We also see Northern Ontario kept orange, as expected. But it really is the 905 here into southwestern Ontario that was this major tidal wave.
And that's what was going to decide how big this majority was the 905, the 416. Actually, far more in the 416 went to Doug Ford than anybody would have thought.
Yeah, certainly around Etobicoke.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that Ford Nation is very strong. If anybody had any doubt from his brother, it carried forward to Doug. And, this election was about Doug Ford. It wasn't as much about Conservatives. So I think he could say this is his party.
And the historic nature, let's go to Guelph here, which is right there, because this is a historic win. It is the first win for the Green Party. They get a seat in the legislature for the first time, Mike Schreiner.
And they probably get a seat on the next leaders' debate, too, when the next election comes up, which is what he was, complaining about. For all of us in the media had to deal with that issue of whether or not he gets included.
What kind of voice do you think he will have in this legislature?
Well, I don't think he'll have a loud voice just out of procedure, because there isn't very much opportunity for one backbench or one, seat leader. But when he speaks, he'll be effective. He's very different from all other leaders, far more substantive, at least throughout the campaign. And he does have a vision and an objective that I think is more single-minded, but clearer than the other parties. But I think Ontarians will get the first chance to see what British Columbia
he won't
has.
He won't have party status, but neither might the Liberals, because right now they're only at elected 6, leading in 1. They need about 8.
Yeah, no, that's true by legislation.
Yeah.
But you know, let's remind ourselves of something. It still could be up to the government. It could be up to Doug Ford and the Conservatives for the legislature to decide on their own whether to grant party status to the Liberals. It has happened before. The Harris government did allow the NDP to obtain a party status, even though they had not reached the threshold.
Right.
So that's still to come. Let's see what
I want to
that's
look
going
at Eglinton Lawrence here. This is Mike Cole's riding. He is narrowly losing here, about 900 votes. But originally, Canadian press, a lot of the other media had elected him, but now they've had to retract. And right now, it looks like that it could go anywhere. Let's show poll by poll here, and it just shows you by neighborhood here where the support is for Mike Cole on the edges of the riding and in the center and up near the 401 and Allen Road. It is blue.
Well, that's pretty indicative of how deep this anger is. I mean, Mike Cole is a veteran politician who's been in that riding forever.
And he's fighting tonight.
Yeah, if there was anybody who's going to have, you know, a solid seat and support in the neighborhood, it would be Mike Cole. No one works harder. So there's a pretty good indication of how the province is feeling about the Liberals generally. This has been an incredible story.
All right.
6 months ago.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
And we're here still inside PC headquarters. Obviously, a big night for the Conservative Party, a big night for Doug Ford. Also, a big night for the Ford family. We're joined by Councillor Michael Ford. Michael, how big of a night is this for yourself, for your whole family?
Definitely, it's a big night, but it's a big night for Ontario. You know, I think Ontario spoke loud and clear tonight, and they went to the polls, and you know, they gave a mandate. They gave a mandate on lowering hydro rates, gave a mandate on lowering taxes, bringing businesses back into our province, and that's what they're going to get.
This also has to be an emotional night for your whole family. If your grandfather, if your uncle are looking down, you know, what do you think they'd be saying to Doug tonight?
Look, I'm sure they're definitely proud of him, right? A long time ago, I remember Rob always used to say, you know, Doug will be the premier one day. Don't worry. And you know what? It's a special part. We of course miss Rob tonight. I know Rob would have loved to be here, but our whole family's proud of Doug, and we're proud of the team and every candidate who ran an incredible campaign across our province.
Lots of people in the city of Toronto tonight didn't vote for the PC party. How does Doug work with Toronto, the core of Toronto, that aren't necessarily his voter base? You know, a lot of it went orange.
Yeah. Well, of course, you know, if your listeners heard his remarks tonight and you didn't support the PC government, you know, he spoke to you. He said, look, if you didn't support us, I will still be your premier. You will still have a voice. And Doug will represent everyone in Ontario. So the people who didn't support him, I know he will work hard to gain their confidence.
Mayor John Tory and Doug Ford have an interesting relationship. How do you see them moving forward and working together?
Look, I think, you know, they will work great together. I'm sure they'll have a meeting set up in the coming weeks. And I know from the city's perspective, the mayor, said, you know, he'll work with anyone who is elected to, you know, advocate for the needs of the citizens of Toronto. And, you know, Doug, being a sitting MPP and premier in Toronto, you know, he'll definitely take care of everyone. And, of course, across the province as well. He made that commitment.
Michael, thank you for your time
tonight.
Thank you, Adrian. Michael Ford.
Well, there's no question it has been a historic night in many ways. Andrea Horwath and the Ontario NDP party now has more than doubled the number of seats that they had going into this election. They hold more seats if the numbers continue to hold true than they have in almost 30 years. So, of course, while the hope would have been for a win and for Andrea Horwath to become premier, there is no question that it was a victorious night for her tonight.
My friends, from the very start of this campaign, people wanted change. And I could not be more proud that we offered a positive vision. change for the better. New Democrats rejected the politics of fear and cynicism. We rejected that. And we put hope and vision for a better future at the heart of our campaign. And Ontarians have responded like never before. Today, millions of people voted for change for the better. We have won more seats than we have held in a generation. And I am deeply humbled that Ontarians have asked us to serve as the new official opposition. New voices, new ideas, and a strong team of New Democrats working for you, the people of Ontario. You know, I've spoken with Premier Designate Ford, and I did congratulate him on his achievement. And I told the Premier Designate that New Democrats will work each and every day for the change that families need to make life better for all of us, for all of us. We will be positive and constructive in our approach, but the vast majority of Ontarians did not vote for cuts to health care, cuts to our schools, and cuts to the services that families are counting on. People did not vote for that. And we will be the voice at Queen's Park for all of those Ontarians.
So a very happy Andrea Horwath we saw here tonight. She just left the room a short time ago. And now I'd like to ask my panel, you know, Rosario Marchese, you will know very well the difference that it makes now that they will be, you know, leader of the official opposition.
Yes, no, it's a huge deal. They have a platform from which to work. They have a strong official opposition. They'll be able to hold the government accountable to much of what they said. And by the way, the people of Ontario are in for a great disappointment. When he talks about prosperity, economic development, a brighter future, it's not going to happen. They're going to cut $6 billion from the budgets, which means a lot of people will be laid off. They made huge promises and huge tax cuts, corporate and income taxes, gas tax, buck a day, beer. They're in for a huge disappointment because a whole lot of people will be hurt, and having official opposition is going to mean they're going to be able to hold them accountable to that.
What are your biggest concerns, Morgan? Is it also the prospect of cuts?
I'm a young person, and so, you know, I'm sitting here thousands of dollars in debt for my education, and my group message is blowing up with, you know, my friends who are people of color, people who live with chronic illness, people who live with disability. You know, all of my friends are underemployed or unemployed because we're millennials, and, you know, no one is doing enough to support the young people of this province who are really, really struggling at this point. And I'm concerned for that group of people who's supposed to be leading this country forward and right now is pretty stuck. And how are we supposed to provide leadership and energy to this province, to this country, to this world if we're trying to figure out how to feed ourselves and we're, trying to figure out how to, pay for the TTC.
And Chris, I know you have some big concerns as, as somebody involved in education in Toronto.
Yes, I mean, we have many challenges as a TDSB, and like I mentioned to you earlier, we're the oldest school board in the country, and our schools are as old, right? And we have a $4 billion backlog in repairs of our schools. So we need to really focus on that. Hopefully Mr. Ford can help us.
Thank you so much to you all.
Thank you.
I am resigning as the leader of the Ontario Liberal Party. I know. We're not. I'm gonna cry. I have spoken to the party president and asked him to start the process of choosing an interim leader. And it is the right thing to do. There is another generation, and I am passing the torch to that generation.
Yes, with tears in her eyes, Kathleen Wynne resigns as leader of the Ontario Liberals. However, she does retain her seat in Don Valley West. Question now is whether she will still be there with the rest of her party. Again, 8 is the number to retain official party status. Right now, they continue to be leading or elected in 7. And how's this for symbolic? Just a few moments ago, a Liberal Party staffer with a beer in hand went up to that podium and ripped Kathleen's name right off the podium. And she started her speech by saying very clearly that this is not a concession speech.
I know that tonight is not the result we were looking for, and no one feels that more sharply than I do. But this is not a moment where any of us should linger. We can't stay here. I hope that you can feel very proud of what we have done together in the past, and absolutely determined to take on the task that lies ahead. We won't get there with anger. We won't get there with despair. So although I've lost this election tonight, I have not in any way lost my passion for continuing this work, continuing to find ways to make it all work better. My team kept asking me yesterday who I'm going to be talking to tonight. And yesterday I couldn't fully answer that question. And this morning I figured out why. Because I'm talking to all of you in this room, but all of you in the province. This and I love you. This is not a concession speech. I conceded I would not be Premier days ago. So this is my chance to say thank you for allowing me to be your Premier, and most importantly, for letting me connect with so many of you for the last 5 years. You're the best! This has been the greatest privilege of my life, and the best part of my job is connecting with all of you. So tonight, I'm talking to you. Some of you watching tonight are watching from campaign rooms, from bars, and victory halls across Ontario. There's a candidate with you who put his or her name on the line, took that risk, and with your help, knocked on thousands of doors. You made phone calls, you cooked meals, you hammered in signs, and you met fantastic people every single day who came to their doors and told you about their lives just because you were there and you asked. You had the privilege and the joy of being part of a team, and I want to thank you for being involved. There is simply no election campaign without you, regardless of party stripe. To the candidates in those rooms, if you won, congratulations. Yes. Congratulations.
And even heading into tonight, the big question was, who will lead the Liberals moving forward? And the answer always was, well, we're going to have to look at the survivors. Well, I can tell you who didn't survive some big upsets. Yasser Naqvi did not hold on to his seat, and neither did Stephen Del Duca. However, Michael Couteau did, and now we go to Christina Howard. And how does future leader of the Ontario Liberals sound for Michael Couteau?
Well, you know, that's something that we were talking about with the panel, is who really is left to potentially fill the leadership seats. But first off, if the party is not able to hold on to party status, and we've seen this now, the Liberals with only 7 seats at this point, can Kathleen Wynne step down, and can she do so tonight?
Well, I think she'd step down, do the party a favor. It should be a huge distraction, so step down and let them rebuild, unless they need her to hang on to party status.
Well, so that's the thing, is that they may not, if they don't have party status, she may not even need to stay on as an MPP. So she could step down and open it right up again to a by-election for Don Valley West.
Which seemed to make sense to me. So.
It does. And who are you thinking could fill her shoes as, or because we do need to find it, or they do need to find a new Liberal leader, who do you think is suited for this?
Well, if I was a Liberal, I'd be lobbying somebody like David Levac to run for leader, because he's always was in it for the right reason. He's a very honorable person. He's very measured. And I always thought if it wasn't Andrea Horwath, he'd make a good premier.
And Queenie, do you have any suggestions on who the Liberals should look to, even on an interim basis?
No, but anybody would be better than Kathleen Wynne, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, it looks like it's a lot busier out here in the parking lot. A lot of people are making the big exodus from the hall. So when I saw Amanda's, what she was seeing, looking at inside, well, we're having much more fun out here in the cold. Everybody's leaving.
Alex Ovechkin has finally done it. He is a Stanley Cup champ, and the Washington Capitals have waited a long time to do that. I'll show you the big celebration next in sports. been nearly 46 years to the day for the franchise, but it's probably felt like a lifetime for Alex Ovechkin. But the Washington Capitals are finally Stanley Cup champions.
He's his best.
Now, this is the goal that won it for them. Brett Connolly's shot takes a deflection. Marc-Andre Fleury can't squeeze the pads, and Lars Eller jumps on the loose puck. That gets them ahead 4-3. And look at the magic. Ovi coming over the boards to celebrate. If you can believe it, the clock was not on their side. There was actually a clock malfunction at T-Mobile on the Jumbotron in the dying seconds. But time finally ticked down. The Stanley Cup brought out, and this is the big moment. Ovi, so much passion, so much emotion. A lot of veterans on this team who've been desperate to win the game's biggest prize, and they finally get it done. It's so awesome to watch how elated Washington is, but then the absolute utter heartbreak of Vegas. But one thing that isn't lost on anyone is how magical the Golden Knights season was. Absolutely nothing was expected of them, and in their first year, and they made it all the way to the final. Sports are the best.
I'm Audra Brown in Guelph, and it is indeed a historic night we've been waiting to see, and it is. I'm here now with MPP. Mike Schreiner has now been elected the first Green Party member in Ontario. So what is your reaction now?
Well, we're obviously very excited, and I just want to thank the people of Guelph for making history tonight. And I'm so excited to work hard for this community, to be a champion for Guelph, and to be a strong voice for change at Queen's Park.
You said up at the podium that you were going to hold Doug Ford to his promises. What does that mean?
Well, you know what? I just want to say that Mr. Ford, in one of the debates, said that he believed in climate change. He thought humans were causing it. And I want to reach out to him and say, as Ontario's first Green MPP, I will help develop policies in Ontario to solve the climate crisis in a way that benefits our economy and also benefits people in our communities.
What does it mean to Ontario to have a Green Party member?
Oh, I think it's great for Ontario. It says that Guelph in particular is leading the change for a sustainable future. I think that's spreading across the province, and notwithstanding the provincial-wide election results, I think this is a great opportunity for Ontario to say, let's embrace the clean economy, let's leap into the future now, and let's work hard to protect the people and places we love.
For those who don't know the Green Party well, or think they know the Green Party, what is it, or how has it changed and evolved over the years to what you represent today?
Yeah, well, I think, we've demonstrated, I think, that we can both protect the environment, the people and places we love, and we can have a strong economy, because the clean economy is the biggest global economic opportunity there is there. I want to create good, clean economy jobs. I want to take the prosperity from those and invest it in our communities and people, improving health care, making sure housing's affordable. And then, of course, we're going to work hard to protect our water and our farmland and the places we love in Ontario.
What was it like tonight when you heard the results and heard the crowd in here? It was amazing.
I was just so happy for everyone here. I want Guelph to be proud of their vote. I want Guelph to be proud of making history. I want everyone in this room to be proud of their hard work, because it took people power to make this happen.
And so what's the first step now, tomorrow?
Yeah, I think my first step is really thinking through how do we set up our constituency office in a way that best serves this community. How do we think through our legislative agenda at Queen's Park to push forward on the issues that we care about, that this community cares about.
Great. Well, congratulations. Good victory tonight. So that's it. A lot of excitement here in Guelph tonight. This crowd is very happy. It is a historic night. They did elect their first Green Party member in Ontario. In Guelph, Audra Brown, City News.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has reached out to Premier-elect Doug Ford to offer him congratulations, and a former Prime Minister has also commented on Twitter. We'll tell you what they had to say after the break. Welcome back. Jennifer Hollett from Twitter Canada joins me. Jennifer, we see a tweet from the Prime Minister here. Ontarians have voted for change tonight. I spoke with Ford Nation, which is Doug Ford, to congratulate him on his election as Premier Designate. Looking forward to working together to create jobs and opportunity.
It's already in motion, and what we see is that tweets have become the new press release. There's a link, of course, to the official statement,
Right.
but this is what people are looking for, to see what other politicians are saying right now about or to Doug Ford.
Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, this is an interesting tweet, isn't it? He says, congratulations to Premier Ford Nation and the entire Ontario PC party, including many of my former colleagues.
He's taking some credit here, right?
Isn't
It's a
he?
family win.
Tomorrow is a new day for Ontario. We all look forward to stronger and more prosperous province under Doug's leadership of this new government.
Yeah, and this is what I think so exciting about Twitter. This is Stephen Harper. Like, this is him chiming into election. We know we're hearing from him directly.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting to see how Doug Ford, as Premier, builds relationships, not just with Conservatives, but with the other parties as well.
Former Ontario NDP Premier and Liberal MP Bob Rae commenting, this is interesting. He says, in every election, there is an agreed protocol about leaders' speeches. Ford preempted Wynne's concession speech. So we saw it, and you saw it live. Wynne was talking, and then just moments into it, Ford started talking. And you're political. You were with the NDP at one time. And is there a protocol? Is there
There's a lot of behind-the-scenes protocols,
Yes.
and it felt rude. As you see here, the hashtag is no class, no civility.
Right.
There is an expectation that you make phone calls to congratulate the other person, that you're not going to interrupt a speech. So it was definitely a signal, and I think done deliberately to make a point.
And he did win, and he won with a very strong majority. So if that's his point, that's his point. What I want to show you really quickly here on the map is what could be very interesting. So the Liberals right now are only elected with 6, leading in 1 seat. They are down to the wire in Scarborough-Guildwood with Mitzi Hunter just leading barely by 300 votes here. And if she were to fall, it could mean that the Liberals lose official party status. So we'll keep our eye on this.
Well, Francis, we knew that there was going to be a dramatically different landscape tomorrow when people wake up. Premier Doug Ford elect will be blaring from the headlines and on the news. And coming up, I have my expert panel here. We're going to analyze exactly what that means for Ontario and just what kind of premier will Doug Ford be. I'm back with my political panel here, and one of the things that we all observed was when the campaign co-chair, Doug French, got up on stage to introduce Doug Ford, and he took a real combative tone and took on the media, took on the establishment, took on people that didn't support Doug Ford. What does this mean going forward? Is this a sign of things to come with this new government?
Well, I think it would probably be remiss not to acknowledge the fact that Doug Ford was highly underestimated throughout the entire campaign by the other political parties.
By the PC party as well.
I mean, during the leadership race, he definitely was underestimated, and I think that's been a hallmark in the Ford political dynasty, as it were. So I think it would be remiss not to acknowledge that. I mean, it's just something that, you know, here we are, we want a majority, you know, let's just, you know, bring that up. So, but I think, you know, Doug is going to run a government that's cooperative. He is going to try to reach out to all the different groups, and I think we're really going to see his team stepping up and have that really strong cabinet bench strength around him.
John, you agree? Murtaza?
Pretty much. It'll depend on what we see in the books when they finally get in to do it. But I'd agree with you entirely that he's got a base that he has to ensure that he's got with him. You know, it is going to be combative, that's for sure. But we've got a few more months before we see what the agenda really looks like.
We just have 2 seconds, Murtaza. I'm sorry to put you on the spot here.
I think they have to be collegial and they have to drive an agenda. It's a big challenge. Lots of budget deficits to deal with. I hope that they are wise about it and be more collaborative.
All right, thank you very much.
The celebration continues here for the NDP. We have Brampton East, Gurtan Singh. You've been declared the winner. First, your thoughts and how has the night unfolded for you?
It's an incredibly humbling night. It's a huge honor that I've been given this opportunity to represent the constituents of Brampton East. But beyond that, we see such amazing growth here in Brampton with 2 other seats. Brampton North, Brampton Centre, and Brampton East have all gone orange. Brampton is now an orange town, and it's amazing to see this because we've seen that this message that Andrea Horwath put forward has resonated with people, and they're excited about that.
And I also want to mention you've been involved behind the scenes with this man here, Jagmeet Singh, a familiar face, leader of the NDP. How are you feeling about your brother's win today?
It's an incredible feeling. I mean, in a lot of ways, though my brother is my younger brother, he actually acted like an older brother in some ways, encouraging me and pushing me in the political journey that I've been on. And so it's a great feeling to be able to support him. He's going to be someone that is going to continue the fight that we started in Brampton around the issues of fairness and justice. He's going to be a great member of Andrea's team. And I just want to give a special shout out to Andrea as well for being such a great leader in this campaign. But Brampton East is going to be well served. Ontario is going to be well served with the passion, dedication, and the fierce strength that my brother's going to bring to the table.
Our thanks to the Singh brothers representing Canada both federally and provincially now.
Well, literally just a second ago, we've been waiting for results from York Simcoe. There were polling irregularities. The poll there closed at 11:25. Carolyn Mulrooney, the PC, has shot ahead here, so very likely that she will win this riding. Let's go to Don Valley West. This is Kathleen Wynne's riding. She won the riding just by a small margin right now, about 200 votes. We're going to check in Don Valley West when we come back.
I am now at Don Valley West, what many have called a liberal stronghold, but tonight Kathleen Wynne has been shaking in her boots because this race has been neck and neck, and it's all thanks to this man right here, PC candidate John Kieran. How are you feeling right now?
Well, the race has tightened. It was called by most of the media about an hour ago at a margin of 1,000 votes, and my understanding is that there's still one poll left, and the margin is about 40 votes. So I suspect that they'll have a recount. I'm still very proud of the team. I'm proud of our campaign. I'm proud of the volunteers, proud of the executive that marshaled the resources, organized us, told me where to go and where to canvass. In my situation, it's the kind of campaign team you can only dream of as a candidate.
Why are you the guy? Why are you the guy that should be, leading this riding?
Well, I worked hard at it. I think you'll find that most people on the team will tell you that as I should have been, I was the hardest working member of the team. And that's good advice for every candidate. But the reality is that I got into this because I was concerned about the future for my children, and I didn't, frankly, like the job that Kathleen Wynne was doing. I felt that it was time for change. And we canvassed more than 60,000 of the doors of the voters in the riding out of 71,000. When you canvass 6 out of 7 voters in a riding of tens of thousands of voters, you get a fairly clear answer about what the key issues are. And the key issue is hydro. And I have 35 years background on hydro. It's something that I can work on and help fix.
My last one for you, when the media did announce Kathleen Wynne as the winner, I saw tears. Your message to, to these supporters that have been riding with you all the way.
There's an old theory that the way you differentiate between a team and a high-performing team, both get results, but in a high-performing team, the members care about each other. This was a high-performing team. We're family. We work very closely. People worked late at night, came in early every morning. I canvassed 7 hours a day, 7 days a week for weeks and weeks and weeks. My last day off was to celebrate my son's birthday on May the 11th. I think that was almost a month ago. We had people doing that all up and down the organization and the campaign team. So when that happens, you start to develop friendships and support systems, and we care about each other. We're proud of the work that we did. We may, fall a couple of meters short of the mountaintop, but we climbed like hell, and I'm proud of everyone on the team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Kieran, and congratulations.
Okay, got to show you some really interesting results here. Mitzi Hunter has been elected in Scarborough-Guildwood, but only by 80, maybe 60 votes here, so not a lot. That could actually trigger a recount. We'll take a look at that. One riding in Ontario has not been declared yet. Carolyn Mulrooney in York Simcoe has been declared winner. It's this one in Northern Ontario, Kiiwetinoong. It is mainly an Indigenous population, but this is also a riding that was formerly held by the NDP, Kenora Rainy River. Howard Hampton, the former leader of the NDP. The votes are not in here, but if the Liberals hold on to this riding, it could actually give them official party status, because right now they're only at 7 seats.
The Doug Ford bus could not be stopped tonight. I'm Adrian Gober. We're at the Toronto Congress Centre. It was absolutely rammed here tonight. Now it's pretty much crickets. Though earlier I spoke with Councillor Giorgio Mammoliti about what a Doug Ford government at Queen's Park means for the big smoke.
I think it's a priority for him to concentrate on all the people. I mean, that was the slogan. That's the campaign. And my worry is that they're not going to let him do his job now. He's won it fair and square, and I would say right away, hands down, leave him alone, let him do his job, and let him find the appropriate measures to bring the government back to the people.
Can he work with Mayor John Tory?
Let me say this very clearly to anybody that doesn't know Doug Ford. Doug Ford can work with anybody. The question is, do they want to work with him? If people want to work with Doug Ford, he will be there to listen.
Only time will tell. One thing's for sure, there has been a seismic shift in the political landscape tonight here in the province of Ontario. On behalf of all of us at City News, we want to thank you for joining us on this historic evening. Your next City News tomorrow morning on Breakfast Television, as well as City News at 5 and 6. And as always, citynews.ca. Thanks so much for watching. We leave with more from Doug Ford's big win.